Hi, my name is Louis-Pierre Gignac, President and CEO of GMIN Ventures. We've recently reached commercial production at Tocantinzinho and are looking now to develop the Oko West project, which will bring us into an intermediate gold producer over the next couple of years.
Good to see you here. You've been a hard man to get. You're very, very popular at this conference. How's it gone for you?
It's been very busy. Lots of interest of existing investors and new ones that want to get a lot of details on the updates that we've provided in the last few weeks, actually. So.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to have, everything seems to happen quite quickly. Tocantinzinho, now you've got the Oko West, and also a question from BHP recently as well. You're really starting the motor.
Yep. Yeah, the wheel is turning fast. So, we announced, for one, we completed the Tocantinzinho project on time and on budget.
Yeah.
So we declared commercial production starting September 1st. So we reached 80% of nameplate at the plant, with the plant in August. So things have been going well.
Yeah.
Rarely do you have a commissioning period where you're actually positive cash flow.
Yeah.
Which is the case now with our asset and with gold prices being at all-time highs.
Yeah.
So we never expected to be producing gold at these prices when we did our planning, right? So So that's a sweet spot and ideal timing for us to be completing a project.
Now, obviously, given the heritage and given where you've come from, people expect you to be a good mine builder. You've built a few before.
Yeah.
But I think what I'd like to do with this conversation is maybe look at the other part of you, the bit that the ventures bit, which is obviously these acquisitions, being acquisitive in a market like this. Is good news, not just for you, but also in people that you're buying into. So tell us about Oko West. You put PE pretty quick. So that must have been somewhere in the works already, was it?
Correct. So that was already kind of in the works under Reunion management, and they were working with GMS as well, Mining Services. So when we concluded the transaction, there was still some work to complete.
Yeah.
We also made some fine-tuning in terms of how we wanted the sequencing of the open pit and underground to come together.
Right.
So those are adjustments that we made to how we saw the project being designed and come out in the PA. But I think that's the opportunity for us to show what we think Oko can do, which is 353,000 ounces a year for 13 years.
Right.
So there's 4.5 million ounces of gold production over that in that project profile. So it's an exceptional mine, one that's going to generate tremendous cash flow.
Right.
The NPV5 is like 1.4 billion at 1950 gold price.
Right. So many areas we can go because there's so much to cover. But I better finish off with a little comment on the. You're going to look at maybe the GGUPI. Am I is pronouncing that?
Yeah.
Almost correctly. Right. So why did you pick that up? Why now?
So the story on that one is we actually looked at that project 2 years ago.
Okay.
We did extensive due diligence. We went to site. We had done all our homework on it when it was in the hands of Oz Minerals. And so in their portfolio, it was non-core. And then BHP bought Oz Minerals.
Yeah.
So it became even
less
more non-core.
Yeah.
So when they kind of reactivated the file of saying they wanted to clean up their portfolio in Brazil and divest that, we were quick to be knocking on their door saying, like, we've done the work, we're ready to
What did we know about 1.7 million ounces inferred?
There's 1.7 of indicated.
Indicated, even better,
0.6 or 0.5.6 of inferred.
Okay.
So that's the point, is we're inheriting basically a high quality resource to start with.
Right.
Within an exploration package that's 1,900 square kilometers.
Right.
And 85 kilometers of strike along the Greenstone Belt.
Right.
The GGUPI Greenstone Belt. So for us, this is like a very great starting position with an asset like that.
Yeah.
They've done studies in the past where they showed like 120, 130,000 ounces of production, which is nice, but actually small at this point for...
It's kind of, I mean, again, coming back to the heritage and where you come from, mine builders' perception and so forth, picking up development stage, whether it be early or late, however you want to frame it, project, that's the right thing for you to do, isn't it? I mean... Makes total sense.
It is a good. We paid $0, and we left them a royalty.
Yeah, explain what you did there. There's two types.
So the rationale there was they were more concerned that this would be in the hands of someone that would be a good corporate citizen that had a good reputation in Brazil, which I think we've developed over the years. So we checked the boxes on those aspects for BHP. But they also saw the tremendous potential of this land package through studies they've done. So like 19 million ounces, or anyway, something much more substantial. So we said, look, keep a royalty on it.
Right. Explain that. You got 1% on the first million.
1% on the first.
After.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's good. Are there any liabilities that you've inherited? Don't give us any money.
There's not really any significant liabilities.
Wow. Okay.
There is social things that need fixing.
Right.
So there's artisanal miners in the area. It's more subsistence living for them, getting barrels.
Yeah.
And that's very common in Brazil.
Yeah.
So you need to invest time to broker deals where you can compensate them to relocate and go elsewhere. So that takes some time and energy, which no one over the past years was willing to commit to. And the other thing is, the government is really cracking down on illegal activities, mining activities.
Right.
So a lot of times the federal police come in, they torch everything up, and and it's a very aggressive way of doing things.
Yeah.
So that's taken place over the years there as well. So it created conflict with.
But with you, someone like you, where you've got, was it over 1,300 full-time jobs over at Tocantinzinho?
We had 2,200 people on the project
2,200
during the peak of construction.
And what's it going to
We'll be sub 1,000. We'll be around 850, 900.
Okay, down to this, right.
So we're going to be we're a large employer in the Tapajós region.
But you can point to that and say,
for sure.
Look at this.
And we have great relationships with the communities that we're working with Tocantinzinho.
Right.
So the point is we can show them the positives of what we've done in terms of employment, creating business opportunities for people in the region, and elevating their standards of living.
Right.
So that's something that we think we can bring to...
So hence BHP go, we entrust this to you.
Yes.
There's some financial benefit at the back end, but we trust you to be able to build it properly, because Tocantinzinho is a kind of case study on how to do it right and quickly.
Correct.
Okay.
And even some of our prior experiences as GMIN services at Essakane in Burkina Faso, I think there was close to 20,000 people, or there was significant number of people working in the vicinity of that deposit. We built 3 communities, separate communities, and relocated all those people.
Yes.
That's a process. It takes time, and you need to put the effort and build trust and relationships with those communities.
And I kind of like the Brazil thing, because it's a very immediate, very close,
very
comparable thing as well. That, and the other thing you just said earlier, which kind of struck me, was technically you're very technically competent. People believe you to be able to deliver into the build. 80% nameplate capacity at this point, fantastic. It's a difficult market out there. There are so many things going wrong in the last 12, 18 months. We've seen a lot of train wrecks on the economic studies. We've seen it in the build phase. We've seen it post-build phase, things going wrong. So you've kind of got that aura to you, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, I think we have a great team. So as a team and a company now, we've acquired things, engineered them, built them, financed them.
Yeah.
Executed on M&A.
Yeah.
So we've done everything that needs to be done right to be successful. We've done everything now at this point, and it's now a question of continuing that cycle.
Right.
So that's really the next leg for us. Is we've done it with TZ now. We've shown that we can do it successfully.
Yeah.
OKOS is the second one.
Yeah.
And that's it. Just provides another runway for us to create value for shareholders.
There's phasing to it as well, isn't there? What I'm trying to think is that you've got all these good people who've done good work for you, Tocantinzinho. You need to kind of keep them busy.
Yes.
So you can't have everything all at the same stage. So building up this portfolio for you obviously deals with that. Make sure you keep the good people.
Yeah.
How else are you looking at that portfolio approach in terms of the different stages of development?
Yeah. Well, ideally, you have an advanced stage project that you're engineering and getting ready for construction.
Ooh.
And that's a cycle where ideally we're doing something every 2 to 3 years where we can deploy a construction team that we have within GMS to go and deliver on one of our projects. So we need to start building a larger pipeline of projects that we can mature and get to that point. And that's the difficult thing in our business is the permitting aspects of certain jurisdictions can take a long time. So you can be in limbo for quite some time trying to get those permits to be able to advance a project. The beauty about Oko West is that's the great attraction there is they're very eager to see activity. So the permitting process is very straightforward and streamlined.
Right.
So we expect to be constructing as early as beginning of next year. On the basis that the government is wanting to provide for certain aspects of our project no objection letters for us to proceed. So building access road, airstrip, permanent camp facility. So that's something that you don't really see very often, but there again, they know our group from prior histories of things in Guyana. So they know we do things properly.
What did you do before?
Well, it was Louis Sr. back in the Cambior days. They built Omine, and that's where Dave Fennell and him met. Also, the history of them starts there. But so they built Cambior around that in the 90s. So that was obviously before the oil boom that they've seen. So that mine was 30% of GDP back in those days.
Wowzers.
So they were good corporate citizens. They created a lot of value for communities and government and people. So
we talked with I think Omai, which is a former producing mine as well. Talking about the political will. Right. As some people, they want mining. They're encouraging miners to come in. But you've still got to do things the right way, obviously. But that's really, really important. And the other thing, just on Oko West, which is, and you said something earlier, you came in and you sort of tweaked the PA. It was in progress, but then you sort of maybe looking at it slightly differently. How much of an advantage is the fact that you build these things, even at early stage economic studies? Because sometimes you see these economic studies go through the phases, and then it kind of gets to the end, it's like, we didn't quite get that right, so we're going to have to change things around. But you see it early.
Yeah, I think we have a good vision of how we want to conceive projects. So tailings project layouts, that starts with that. How do we position things so it's efficient, cost effective? Like the tailings facility, there was a few option studies done. Even when I did the site visit, I'm looking at where we're positioning things. There's a better way of positioning the dam to minimize earthworks. There's all those things that we look at to try and minimize costs and its efficiencies. And the thing with the underground, that was more from the perspective of keeping things executable and easier to manage and sequence. So with the open pit, we can feed the plant, and it will be life of mine where we're feeding from the pit. So the initial years will be only pit, and once we're in commercial production, we'll start development of the underground for 2 years.
Right.
Stoping activities year 3 and ramp that up. And then keep feed from both the underground and open pit for the duration of the project. So that's the challenge here when you have an open pit and underground, and you have a large plant like we're planning. We have 6 million ton per annum. An underground cannot feed 6 million ton per annum. So that's the challenge of how you sequence that, make that.
And how's that open pit phasing with the underground stuff? Because I'm just thinking, do you have to, for the melt, do you have to blend?
It will blend.
Right. Okay.
So it's just a question of.
So that's concurrent activity there, underground.
Correct.
So underground's not coming from the pit, or is it?
So what we decided, and that was part of the other reasons of getting the pit developed first, so that we can create a nice rock face to set up our portal and ramp, as opposed to going through weathered material saprolite where you're in unconsolidated ground where it's much more costly and
Yeah.
time consuming to put that in. Similar to, like, for example, Fruta del Norte, they had to soft rock tunnel to create their portals.
Yeah.
That was a different situation. That was the logical thing, but here we have the advantage of having a pit and doing things differently.
So you guys have got a lot of exciting revenue opportunities coming. Tocantinzinho, when it's up and running, in a gold 2,600 gold, crikey. You then have to get into the world of, and tell me about the team here, where you have to manage that in the most efficient way too. So not just building, but running the business, right? So that is, do I hedge? Do I, you know what I mean? What's the team that's going to look after the running of the business rather than the operations look like?
Yeah, I mean, look, we had always designed our management team to be fit for purpose.
Right.
So we had a pretty lean team all the way up till now. So we are now complementing the team, adding some good management below the executive team, if you wish, to help manage the growth that we have and multiple assets.
Yeah.
So with the growth story that we have, it's very attractive for people to be part of the story, because there's a lot going on.
The right people, for sure.
And we're attracting great people. So that's always the fun part of what we're doing. And for example, the construction team we had at TZ, a lot of them will be moving over to OCO. It gives the opportunity for people to grow in the business as well through internal promotions.
But I guess what I'm trying to get at is that there's a kind of corporate team, and I'm trying to separate the operational element by saying, right, there's a corporate team here who will say, right, we will build the company to some vision which is over here, and that could be through acquisition, it could be through organic, or whatever options that you decide to put on the table for yourselves. The operations team will take care of the business, which is these things will be profitable to give us the money to do the things we plan to do.
Yeah.
So who's in that kind of corporate team, I'm going to call it, rather than ops responsibility?
Yeah, it's myself and our CFO or SVP corporate development. And we have a VP of exploration now that we're generating cash flow, we'll be getting larger budgets to play with and start exploring the land packages that we have.
Right.
So that's something that we hadn't been doing much up until now.
Yeah.
But now that's going to be we have that ability now to invest in the ground and
So that's
a new component now that we can start pushing forward.
Because it kind of felt like there was a kind of huge expertise sitting in the middle, but there's a kind of corporate responsibility from you to say, well, we are going to aim to be pick a number, 1 million, 2 million ounce company. To do that, we need to do the following things. We need to have the right exploration expertise. We need to have the right ops team, which I think we've got. We need to go and buy more stuff. You're obviously very acquisitive, just GGUPI and OK West alone.
So that's the thing
phenomenal.
with M&A. It's you can never time it.
Yeah.
You need to be actively doing it all the time, and then when the right opportunities and timing coincide, I mean, you can act. But there's always things that you need to. You can't just wait for a bank to run a process to be buying assets. You need to be poking at things.
Well, 2 years, you told me earlier.
So you need to be aggressive in terms of what you want. And try and make things a win-win. So I think that's how we try and approach how we do M&A is if we're going to try and buy something from someone, it's going to be a win for them as well.
Do you think there's such a thing as too many moving parts? What's the pace? What's the ambition? What's the aggression?
Yeah,
what do you
I think we need to definitely grow responsibly. I mean, we just need to do it in a fashion where it's well managed and not diluting the talent pool or things like that. So
I always say that mining has a way of waking up in the morning, decide to kick you in the nuts if it wants to. So you just got to have all your risk mitigation management in place. I feel that's what you're like.
Yeah. So we do all that in terms of we do it during the construction phase, during the operations phase, corporate level, site level. So there's a lot of. It's all about risk management to some extent.
Right. I see. Right. So what am I looking forward to this year for me? Getting these 3 projects just moved along? Focus on that.
For sure. So the big push is Oko, obviously. But, you know,
That's the big gains are.
that's where the huge gains are going to take place.
350,000.
TZ, obviously, we're going to just get that to nameplate.
Yeah.
Hopefully by the end of the year.
TZ? What's the nameplate on that?
13,000 ton per day.
Right.
Which we can likely
How many ounces are we aiming for?
175,000 ounces a year.
75, right.
And likely close to 200
Okay.
next year. So that's
Okay. And then Ocuts, what 350 you think is the potential there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's starting
a nice
to add
one.
up. So is there, just put it in simple terms, people, do you think that the number you're aiming for is 1 million ounces? Is that the kind of company that
Yeah.
you could be?
exactly. So before Oko was in the portfolio, I mean, we were targeting 500.
Yeah.
With Oko, we can do that. Now the next leg is how do we get to 1 million now? So it's not with 60,000 ounce producers. So
It's not. Love what you put together. Keep doing it. And we'll look for these regular updates, which I'm sure are coming down the line.
yep, look forward to it.
Give it up.
Thanks.